We'll start with the big ones. There were some big results. So Arsenal 4, London City Lionesses 1. So I'll start us off if you want. So Olivia Smith, obviously we're Liverpool fans, and whilst it was disappointing to see Olivia Smith leave Liverpool, it was nice to see her get onto the score sheet and score a screamer and just make a good first impression. And she looked a threat. It was really good also to see Chloe Kelly get a goal, real kind of poacher's goal, a real deft touch, a real kind of good finish. So yeah, it was an interesting. The overall game, I thought Arsenal had 65% possession, and initially, obviously Lionesses, they got a penalty, scored, and took the lead. But I think a lot of us maybe had hope, but wow, they've done all these signings, but Arsenal just got into Arsenal mode, and in that kind of second half, because the second half they really came to life, and I said their bench is full of strength. Beth Mead came on, and they just looked good, so good, and just overpowered the Lionesses. And yeah, I don't know what thoughts on that game.
Yeah,
4-1.
pretty much everything you said, I agree with. I mean, the Arsenal bench was ridiculous, But yeah, I actually think the London City Lionesses were just really negative. I think they tried to. I think they tried to they got that 1-0 and tried to see it out, and I don't think it was
Can't
ever
do that
going
with
to
Arsenal.
happen.
Can't do
Yeah,
that with a team that good.
no, you can't. I think, I think if you give a team that good that much the ball, they will find ways. And like I said, I'm not worried about London City Lionesses at all. I think they have spent on good players, spent money and signed good players. I think there's just a huge turnover in that squad. It's their first season in the WSL, new manager. It's just big changes there, and it might take them time. It might take them time to kind of bed in and get used to everything. I mean, they couldn't have, they almost couldn't have asked for a worse start, really. Arsenal away, Man United at home, second week. But yeah, I think what makes it exciting is the fact that there are only 22 games for them this season. So two
Yeah.
games down, that's nearly 10% of their games are done. They'll be fine by the end of the season. I don't envisage them
Yeah.
going down. I just think it might take them a few weeks to get used to the level.
I think it'll be this. You're right. I think the second half of the season we should see a much stronger, more competitive team. And I think you're exactly on those points. They've such a huge turnover. Good turnover, some real good quality. They've obviously broke the transfer record with Guiro from PSG, 1.4 million euros or pounds. I think it's euros, isn't it?
For
Guiro from PSG.
1.4 million
Oh,
pounds, yeah.
right. And then they've got Fernandez from Barcelona. Katie Zellum is back in the WSL. Nikita Paris. That Australian I really like. Kennedy. So they've got some solid players. But you're right. It's just, I think it's going to take time to bed in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a real story at Barcelona with it, by the way, if I can just go slightly off piste.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
um, and I won't dig into it now, but I think the financial situation of the men's team is starting to catch up with the women's. And so
Right.
actually, if you look this summer, I think, Barcelona had to trim the squad slightly. And I think that will make it interesting for the Champions League. It'll be interesting, but yeah, obviously London City were able to make that deal because I think partly because, A, they've got the
Yeah.
money, but B, Barcelona wanted to bring that in. And so I think a lot of people thought it was like a bit of a coup and quite a surprise, but I think that was like necessity for Barcelona to, like I said, trim their squad slightly and get the wage bill down a little bit and get some money in. So I think that's worked out. I think that will work out well for both teams.
I think an interesting side note. Russo started. Obviously, big fans of Russo. She started as number 9 and scored in the game we're going to mention in a moment. But Blackstenius come on twice, came against London City Lionesses, scored. Come on, yesterday, I think yesterday, and scored. Interesting. Any thoughts on that? Like, is that going to be a threat for Russo? What do you think on that?
No,
It just shows you the depth, doesn't it, of Arsenal's bench again, though, doesn't it?
yeah, I watched bits of the Arsenal game. There's been a lot of sport on this weekend for me, but yeah, I watched bits of the Arsenal game. I mean, I don't know whether you just want to crack on to kind of this week's game, but for me,
Sure.
I don't see another forward in the global game who makes better runs and links up play better than Russo.
She's the best. She's the best. Her link-up play is just brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
she is the best.
And the runs she makes are just really unselfish runs. She will work the channels. She will pull defenders deeper and create space behind her. Like her work and her work off the ball and her movement is exceptional. And you know, part of the reason why I instantly thought, like, well, if they're going to take Smith from us at Liverpool, I'll gladly have Aguiman up at L4 because we could do with somebody who could finish some chances. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate Blackstenius is a great player too. I just Russo is not going to lose a place.
It's a great Arsenal have literally a great Arsenal off the bench. So you think Russo's worked a shift, they can bring on, Blackstenius, Olivia Smith, and it just, they'll go to the West. We'll quickly touch on Arsenal West Ham as well as we're kind of on there. But Arsenal 5, West Ham 1. And again, West Ham took the lead, but then Arsenal just did exactly similar, but even better this time. As then against the Lionesses, they just came into their own, just took over the game, dominated. And once they brought on Blackstenius, Olivia Smith, who was such a threat, it just killed the game. They just come on and did their job. You had a tired West Ham team that just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen the WSL fixtures for the whole year. I was just trying to have a quick look there, but circle the Arsenal-Chelsea games because I think they will be title deciders. I mean, just on Friday alone, I look at the Arsenal squad and they brought off the bench, they brought Lottie Wibbenboy, Taylor Hines, Palova, Blackstenius and Olivia Smith. They all came off the bench like at halftime, 63 minutes, 79 minutes, 88 minutes. But you just think to yourself, you just look at the players that aren't starting, and both Chelsea and Arsenal, and you just go, they're going to be fine when those Champions League months roll in and they're playing twice a week and everyone else playing once a week, because they will be able to rotate and bring in quality. So for me, yeah, I think the two fixtures to look for are the Arsenal Chelsea games. I think Arsenal are the only team that could really put a serious challenge into Chelsea this season. And I think we saw that first night of the season when it's far closer than people thought it was going to be, but Chelsea 2, Man City 1. You got any thoughts on that opening game for Chelsea?
Yes. So, yes, on that one, so it was quite a nice mix. So there's about 50-50 possession. So both were going for it. Man City actually had more shots, but when you're chasing the game, you're going for it, aren't they? But I'll tell you who I was impressed with. Ellie Carpenter, new right back from Lyon. She was bombing down the right. She provided the assist for the goal, but she didn't do it just that one time. She got down that right-hand side and was doing a real tackle fullback. And yeah, nice signing potentially. It looks like, especially in a big game like that, if she's doing it and showing quality in those games, I think she's going to display great qualities in the games against the smaller teams. But yeah, I was really hoping, it would be nice to see a more competitive league this year. Hopefully Arsenal will compete. Man City, looked good to be fair, but they weren't quite at Chelsea's level. I feel still from that game, if you were to guess, they're still going to be that bit short and shy. But who knows? Grace Clinton will add an extra dimension and improve the dynamic there for that team. And I'd love them just to be competitive. So we'll see.
Do you want to talk about Chelsea's game today?
Chelsea today,
Beat Villa 3-1.
that they smash. Yes, 1 sec. So cracking goal. First of all, Aston Villa, cracking goal from Ebony Salmon, a screamer who I know we're both a fan of, and it's good to see it. Chelsea's goal was actually against the run of play, to be fair. But
Yeah. Sorry, I was actually going to say that. So, I thought Man City would push Chelsea all the way, and I think same today with Villa. Obviously, Villa were going through that horrible run at the tail end of last season, and you thought, ooh, this could get ugly. But like the last kind of 4 or 5 games, it seems like it clicked for them, and so I'm expecting them to have a pretty decent season this season. And yeah, I think they were really brave in the first half, particularly. I thought they were really unfortunate to go in only at 1-1. I thought if they had gone in 2-1, I think, yes, obviously, we spoke a lot about Salmon. She's carried on her good goal scoring run, and the finish today was brilliant. Switch out to the Grant in the wide areas from her, and as the ball was cut back to a kind of edge of the box, it was like that swept first time finish into the far corner, which was brilliant. But if we're being uber critical or just critical, she should have put them 2-1 up. She was 1-on-1, made a great run through, got in front of the players so the defender couldn't make the challenge, and maybe a bit of composure or just a better finish. And I think if Villa had gone in 2-1 up today at half time, I don't think there'd have been many complaints, because they were really, really good. And if at the end of the day, 3-1 looks like a comfortable victory, but one of those goals was an own goal. Kira Walsh's shot was going wide before it hit O'Kearns and deflected in. But if I'm honest with you, I think the real story of the day was Sam Kerr back from injury, 637 days since her last game.
Nice, almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years, which is incredible. And Sam Kerr does what Sam Kerr does. You give her the ball inside within 8 to 10 yards of the goal between the posts, and it was a scrappy goal, but I imagine that'll probably go down personally for her as one of her best, just because of the situation around it.
Mentally, it will be just what she needs. And you're right, there's been a lot on the field and off the field, all sorts. So this will be good for her to put that all behind her. You've got a goal, let's crack on. And again, I don't think it's gonna be easy, because that Chelsea squad is gonna be super competitive. But Sam Kerr has a lot of quality, and she's done it big games, big goals. So be interesting to see how she fits, how often she plays, who's starting. But what we'll say for Villa, their front three could potentially be quite potent. You've got Rachel Daly, Kirsty Hansen, Ebony Salmon. So when all three, they can get going, and you can see glimpses today. But
I think Grant as well.
Yeah.
Down the right hand side, she's got real pace, and that is difficult to defend against. Especially if you're a team like Chelsea who want to kind of play a bit higher, be a bit more dominant. You leave that space in behind for both Salmon and Grant, who, if you give them too much space, there could be some issues. Obviously, Daly is just, she scores goals wherever she's been. So, I mean, that's not going to change really anytime soon. But you're right. I think that front three, if you add Grant into that attacking four, it could be really potent. Why I think it's great that Natalia Arroyo has been able to kind of get that to click. Like I said, towards the back end of last
Yeah.
season, it looked as though it was all going to go wrong for them, and there was every chance that Palace were going to kind of beat them out away from the drop. But it all clicked kind of last 4 or 5 games. They got some great results. And like I said, I'm expecting them to have a fairly solid season this season. I expect them to kind of be in and around those top 8 spaces, kind of between 5 and 8 and 9, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to see Villa do like even preach, poach that top 6, but we'll see. Last season wouldn't give any indication of that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I
But
think just on Villa as well. I think it's nice to see Ellie Roebuck back playing.
yeah,
Obviously, left the WSL, went to Barcelona, and then really horrendously had a stroke. Of all things, you don't really expect that of any young person, especially not a professional athlete. But again, just with Lionesses hats on, it's good for another
yeah,
goalkeeper, another English goalkeeper to be playing week in, week out, and it was a great opportunity for her to go to Barcelona, and I'm sure she enjoyed her time out there because it's a lovely city. But obviously, along with her illness and not getting game time, I think this is a great move for her, and I think it's a really good, astute bit of business from Villa as well.
yeah. Well, she pulled off a couple of good saves today, so
Mm.
you can see her talents there. And in fairness to Villa, they had 45% possession. You know what I mean? So they, normally when teams come against Chelsea, we see those possession jump right up for Chelsea, but they competed. It's just in the end, Chelsea's overall squad quality, proved too much, and that
Yeah.
was in the end. I think Villa they had 15 shots. You know what I mean, but only 4 on target. So it just shows you that is the area, that bit of quality, that final clinical bit of quality is where they need to develop their game as a team.
Yeah, you wonder as well if Chelsea just getting back into the swing of things. Obviously, Bright had surgery over the summer.
Yeah,
It's good to see her back. But yeah, still no Gurma at
yeah,
Chelsea. Obviously Kerr coming back. Again, another team that when you look at the bench and the players coming off the bench today, in Alyssa Thompson for 5 minutes, probably in summer, world record transfer, Sandy Baltimore, Elise Cuthbert, Sam Kerr, like I said, Chelsea and Arsenal, they're just the quality they've got, the in depth of squad is huge, and I think that's why it's between those two. Even this early in the season, you can see that's probably going to be the case.
yeah. No, agreed. Okay, if we kind of will jump between kind of game week and week 1 and 2 as we have been, but Liverpool's first home game last week and lost 4-1 to Everton. Ving,
Sorry, I think you're breaking up, Dan. I think my Wi-Fi's
yeah.
gone down.
Vignola got a hat trick, which was interesting because she wasn't prolific previously at her other club. So it's like, I don't know, it was an anomaly. It was a one-off, or whether this is just the right time, right club. But we'll see. She got a hat trick, and it killed Liverpool off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So obviously there was that result, and then today, obviously Liverpool lost to Leicester City 1-0,
against 10 men,
10 women,
10 women.
10 players, like 70 odd percent possession, like you said, for a
Yeah.
good chunk, like third of the game. Good half an hour they had 10 players to play against.
Liverpool had 9 shots. Leicester had 2.
Yeah, and that, yeah, as a fan, that's frustrating to see. I think for me, the game against Everton, I thought, and Leicester kind of mirrored itself in the sense of particularly first half. You can see there are some signs that Liverpool are going to get better under Gareth Taylor. And I think it's just been a bit of a messy summer. I heard that essentially he was sacked from City. It took Liverpool a long time to announce him as manager because there were contractual issues there. Obviously, when a manager gets sacked and they still have time on their contract, the club that sacks them continues to pay them, and for him to take another job, there would have been some contractual issues that need to be cleared up. And you could say, well, just do whatever you need to do to take the next job and get in place and get your feet under the desk. But obviously, I think we need to remember that some of these managers aren't making the money that men's first team managers do at the top level. With Matt Beard last year, I read an article last year where he'd been sacked by Liverpool. He dropped down, I think, could have been National League North or Championship with Burnley. But he gave an interview, I think it was to The Athletic, where he talked about how he may need to go back to his day job as a real estate agent because, if you're earning, I don't know, 40 grand a year as Liverpool's first team manager, I don't know what the sums are, but I can't imagine it'll be tons more than that. You get sacked with 3 months of your contract left or even a year of your contract left. That is not going to set you up for life. And so these men and these women, these coaches, they need to work. And so I wonder if maybe, I don't know the ins and outs, so I do wonder if maybe things could have been sped up. But from the first two games, I can see Liverpool will get better under Gareth Taylor. What I found frustrating with the Everton game was there were chances created and not finished off. And it was the same again today. Chances created, particularly in the first half. But I think what stuck out to me particularly was I understand that his tactical model is that of a possession based, keep the ball and 70% possession. That's all well and good, but there were at least 3 or 4 times today in the first 15 minutes of the game that Liverpool won the ball within 10 or 15 yards of the Leicester City box, and within 3 passes the ball's back with the centre backs. And obviously, like, unless I brought the clip up and show it, like, it may be that, annoyed fan, unqualified coach, whatever. Like, but I just look at that and just went, why can't you go when you win the ball that close? Why do you not have options, or why do you not have the ability to play forward? Why does the ball have to go back to the fullback, back to the centre back, and round and out and round to the other side? I think, but I saw enough there to give me hope in the first half that, until the last 10 minutes, I still thought Liverpool were going to win that game or get something from it. It doesn't look good at the moment. I genuinely thought Leicester were going to be relegated this season and maybe Liverpool finish above them. And to do that, I think they needed to win those games against Leicester. I think they've made it a bit hard for themselves, but I do think Liverpool will get better. That there is quality in that squad. It was good to see that they used some of that money from Olivia Smith to make Sam Kerr, the other Sam Kerr, sign permanent. I thought there was some good performances over the last couple of weeks from Liverpool. But I also realise and I'm fine with the fact that Taylor's maybe had 4 or 5 weeks with them. Didn't really, came in towards the tail end of pre-season. I think it was maybe 2-3 weeks from the start of the season. So yes, I've seen improvement. I think they will get better. I'm not worried for them yet, but I do think everybody connected to the women's side of the club needs to get their act together and sort some of these issues out. Again, I don't know how much of them were. I think sometimes you look at it and you go, the club as a whole is making more money than it ever has done, and they've obviously decided that the women are going to work to a specific budget. And, they've got their own training ground at Melwood, the old men's training ground, which is great. Obviously, the academy set up. And what I do know from FSG's tenure at Liverpool is that they will build the foundations. They will put in place what needs to be put in place. And so maybe in 3-4 years time, this will all really pay off. But, sometimes you think to yourself, the sums of money are so small in the scheme of football. You wonder if maybe $1 million can be spent here and $1 million can be spent there and another $1 million there and really push on. But I'm willing to be patient, just because I have seen some improvements. But it was frustrating today to see chances not finished, balls being won high, and then almost like semi-automatically just going back, as if to say like, "Oh, I've won the ball, but we're meant to keep possession, so I'll just play to the fullback who'll play to the centre back." And I think just a bit, a bit more ruthless. Get the manager's ideas bedded in. Get the squad working together. I think they made 2 or 3 signings in the last week of the transfer window.
You made a good point there. Ultimately, I agree. I think they didn't put away their chances, but you can tell also that it didn't help that they appointed Gareth Taylor so late and they've only had a short amount of time. So you're right. You can see the potential. You can tell it will get better. Let's see where we're in about 2 months' time.
Like I said, I just wish, particularly in that first half, especially when they won those balls high, there were opportunities to break forward, and it just didn't happen. And it got me going down a rabbit hole of some deep points. But we've cleared an hour now, so I won't get into them.
I know.
Maybe during an off week we could talk about that.
Just because it's on my notes, it's just come up. London City Lionesses 1, Man United 5.
Do you know what? I actually feel sorry for them here. Like, I watching the game. There was United 1-0 up after like 2.5 minutes with I don't know what word would you use if you wanted to say something was soft, but softer than soft? Because that penalty was whatever that word was. And then
it was. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm glad you think. Am I anyone thinking? But no VAR.
No, it was. I don't think it was a penalty.
No,
I think it.
I agree. Hardly.
I think it's really poor refereeing, and I think both Premier League and WSL, but obviously we're talking about WSL. I've not been impressed by the refereeing standards so far this season. It isn't good enough. And then in the same game, Mallard, I think it was her first goal to make it 3-1. Again, literally first 2 minutes of the second half, you think to yourself, London City Lionesses be really annoyed themselves conceding so early in each half. But the penalty shouldn't have been a penalty, and Mallard was offside for the second goal. And the balls come in from Man United's right, so London City Lionesses left, which is where the assistant referee is placed.
Yeah.
Looking down the line, why are you not making simple offsides? So, I mean, was it like, obviously it looked like a terrible result, 5-1, but at least two of those goals should never have been given. And London City Lionesses had their chance, particularly from set pieces. I think Tullis Joyce made like 2 or 3 saves throughout the game from set pieces that really did help United. And again, it was another one that kind of on paper you looked at it and just went, "Oh, that must have been like a stroll in the park," but it wasn't. And speaking of park, Jess Park, like her goal was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Talk us through it, Dan.
Oh yeah, no, it
was like watching you play again.
No, fair play. If you're going to make an impressive debut, fair play to her. Absolute screamer, like long range screamer. So it was beautiful. But what I will say as well, that Riviere, another screamer from Man United. Two amazing goals in the game, both outside the box. Rocketed top corner, great.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question about that goal, though.
Yeah.
Deliberate or accidental?
Oh, I assume deliberate. Do you think it was accidental? Go on.
I don't know. That's what I mean. She collected the ball, made a great run, gets to the byline, and she looks up and across as if, right, who's there for me to square it to?
Yeah.
And then it ends up in the top
It
corner.
was an incredible finish. I'm going to give it a benefit of doubt because it's like
Okay.
I think it was too aggressive as a cross. It had too much. You would have floated in a bit more. Where I think it was a shot and it was a lovely goal. But credit again to the Lionesses. The possession was just not far off. Man United had 53% possession, so it was just similar. So the Lionesses, you're right. The score flattered Man United.
Yes.
Bit of unfortunate bad luck. And you look at that squad. They'll be all right. I'm with you. I'm not worried about them, the Lionesses, because you look, just going some of those, Nikita Paris, Katie Zellum, Van den Donk, Corrales, who looked all right today. And you got the Sweden captain,
Asllani.
Asllani. Yeah. So, and I've not even covered their 1.4 million record sign at Guillaume. So they will be fine. They just need time.
What I do hope as well, from a WSL perspective, because it almost feels wrong for me as a Liverpool fan to say this, is that I hope United can take that form into the second leg of their Champions League playoff. Because, I mean, especially this season with the format of the Champions League, Women's Champions League changing to be more, again, closely aligned with the men's, if someone can explain to me why that's a good idea. But like, you want those English teams in there. You want those English players being given an opportunity to play for domestic teams at the highest level, because that will only be a good thing for the national team. But yeah, I just that they lost during. I mean, that's another thing as well, to win like that away from home, the back of playing midweek whilst your opponents aren't. I think they've done all right. Again, I agree with you. I think the scoreline flatters them greatly, and I think the refereeing today was particularly poor in that game. But yeah, I just to be able to do that off the back of a midweek fixture as well, away from home, and then play away from home in the domestic competition. Fair play to them. And like I said, it doesn't feel right for me saying this, but for the sake of the league, I think it'll be good to have all three teams in the Champions League proper in that league phase. I think they get extra games this year as well, which will be good. But yeah, I just you want, like I said, you want those domestic players to get those opportunities at the highest level.
Okay, Tottenham, Everton 0, Tottenham 2. So I know we had a couple of points to make on this. But yeah, the new forward, the new signing, Tamberg, scored and assisted today. But what do you think of the goal she scored today?
Straight out the Dan Conway playbook, wasn't it? Just no, it was great work from Beth England. Again, winning the ball on inside the Everton half, edge of the centre circle, lays it across, and then like Tamberg just spots the keeper off
How
the
far
line.
out do you think it was?
Well, you'd say at least 35, 40, would you?
Yeah.
No, Goodison, it's not a big pitch in terms, of Premier League standards. There's a reason they've moved on from that ground, but I mean, and we'll come back to it in a second. But it's a bigger playing area than some of the pitches that say London City Lionesses play at Bromley's ground. It's probably slightly bigger, but yeah, you'd say she's at the edge of the centre circle, maybe 3-4 yards in front of it. So yeah, I'd guess 35, 40 yards. Lob the keeper.
Beautiful. How to make that's the way to make your mark, isn't it, in the WSL? And
yeah,
I had a look, right? So this Tamberg, she had 23 goals in 39 appearances for Linkoping, FC in Sweden, and then this last season, so that was 23-24 season, 24-25 season, she played for Hammarby and had 12 goals and 21 appearances. So she's a player. She can potentially score. So they might have got themselves a shrewd signing. The WSL, it might be different, but hopefully she'll get enough supply. I think that's going to be the issue. Can she get enough supply and the support she needs to be able to do her thing? But great to see Beth England scored the penalty in the game before where they won 1-0 first week against West Ham. But then obviously won 2-0 this week. So it's a good start. Beth England goal and assist in 2 games. And this Tamberg obviously got her goals today. Looked really good.
But before we move on, I think it is right. Again, I don't want to sit here and celebrate Everton too much, but they are now the only team in the WSL that have their own.
Mad, isn't it?
You know, as somebody who was only saying a couple of weeks ago to somebody how I appreciate the fact that my club's owners haven't moved away from Anfield and have chosen to regenerate that stadium and to bring it into modern standards without leaving. I think it's really great that the Everton owners have decided to keep Goodison there and to have the women play at the pitch, at the ground. It's going to be interesting to see how they make it their own and how they make it home and how they make it look good for the TV spectacle that it could be. But I think it's a real moment in WSL history to have a team with their own ground in the league. Obviously, Man City have got the little Etihad that they call it, but I think they do share that with the youth teams. I don't think that's their own. As far as I'm aware, Goodison Park will be used for the women's team only. So I think that's great. I think it was just over 6,000 there today, 6,500 if we round up slightly. So good turnout, but far better than they were getting last season already. So again, I think that's a real sign of evolution, good evolution.
Well, speaking of evolution and Tottenham, actually, last season, if there anything, they just weren't creative. In that final third, it was quite dull, and but today they had 19 shots, 8 on target, so a good indication of different style, more attacking, which is obviously what fans want to see. So let's see how that goes over the coming months. But it'd be nice to see the new manager, get that attacking style on a regular basis. For Tamberg, positive for Beth England, and let's see how Tottenham and Everton do over the coming months. And I think the stadium's a hard one. It'd be nice to see them keep that permanently and turn it into their fortress, their home, but let's see how they do it. And maybe they'll be able to inspire other WSL teams to have their own stadium.
I don't think so, but we'll go. But I mean, I think just that obviously we spoke a little bit about City's first game against Chelsea, but
yes,
again Friday night they played against Brighton.
Yes, I think it's our last game, right? Is this the last game for us to cover?
Yeah.
Anymore? Man City, Brighton. Go on, my son.
Oh, just again, it looks, City have obviously, they've kind of fallen down that pecking order slightly with Arsenal and Chelsea. They seem to have kind of broken away. And I think you could probably make an argument that perhaps City haven't had the success that the spending possibly should have got them. But how long did the men's team have to wait for a Champions League title? So, and I don't think that's unusual. I think it just shows you can't just throw money at it. There's other things that need to go into it. But again, I thought that it was quite a good game to watch. I think Brighton really more than held their own, and I thought Kirby was good for her goal in the first half, and actually they took a 1-0 lead in at half time, and I felt it was, pretty richly deserved. I think you and I watched the game Friday night, or at least bits of
Yeah,
it. I think
that was the difference, wasn't it? Really, Fran Kirby, she half time she was replaced, and Brighton was just never the same after that.
yeah, and I think you mentioned as well, probably not an evening that Vivian Miedema would probably look back on with great. Yeah, I think she maybe should have taken one, and it could have been slightly more comfortable in that second half for City. But Bunny Shaw opened her account for the season, I think.
Yes.
Yep,
So,
with one, and but I have to say the winning goal was exceptional from Hasagawa.
oh,
Her and Virginio linking up on the edge of the
that's our
box.
two girls, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hasegawa and Pacino. So they look. Virginia looked brilliant when she come on as a sub, and Hasegawa she had a good game. But Bunny Shaw, it's funny because the first game against Chelsea, in this game, even though she scored, it was a great header. The keeper probably could have done better, but she's not at full Bunny strength. So sounds funny saying that, but I'd like to see her get back to firing on all cylinders. The Bunny Shaw that we know that like it terrorizes defenses. It looks at is a handful. But she won't quite that player on those first two games. But that sometimes does take a bit of time to find your form. But
I mean, what do you think of City's new manager? They've obviously they had the issues last season with Gareth Taylor and Chloe Kelly, but
yes,
then obviously Nick Cushing came back and took over for the rest of the season. There was kind of a will he, won't he stay on, and decided not to, and then they've appointed Andre Jeglerts, the ex
I looked into
Danish
him.
man,
Yeah,
is that?
so he won. He won the women's. He's won the women's Champions League, which sounds great, but it was in 2004. So it's that the women's game has changed a lot in 20 years. So I was surprised because he's older, into his 50s, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You can
So
have
ages, man.
great managers, but like I had a look, and he hasn't set the world alight in the last 20 years since then. So there must be a reason why he must have, why they've appointed. They must have seen some real strength and quality. But from a research point of view, I couldn't see. I was waiting for that aha moment. Like, I see why they've appointed him, but I couldn't find it other than he's got experience managing the Denmark national team. So I don't know, but not winning experience. Which if you're Man City and you want to go for silverware, Nick Cushion seemed more, but he might have he want to stick into the men's game. I don't know. But yeah, like surprised at that one. He's gonna have to prove a point. But they looked all right. To be fair, they played well against Chelsea. They played better against Brighton. The second half they came into. Well, to be fair, Frank Kirby went off. Brighton after that, Aubameyang never really got the support. Frank Kirby was that link up, and they lacked that. And then Man City just came into their own and convincingly won the game and deserved to win it. But yeah, the jury's going to be out on that Man City manager. Look, attacking football, nice, but let's see what they do with it in the next kind of coming months.
Yeah, I mean, if you for me, I look at City squad and I just think at the moment it's not as strong in terms of depth as perhaps it once was. I mean, I think it's quite telling that he only used 3 subs Friday night as well, all of them after 60 minutes. And yeah, you just wonder if maybe this season could be a season of finding their feet again. I would probably put them in that second group with United, London City Lionesses,
Agreed.
perhaps a Villa or Brighton that could potentially sneak a third or fourth place finish. But again, I expect Chelsea and Arsenal to battle it out at the top, kind of that group of teams to be in there, and then everyone else beyond them in the next group. So I wonder, like I said, do you wonder if he's come in as just an experienced, steady hand to get them through to the next phase, or whether I don't know whether they have perhaps just decided to go a different direction in terms of infrastructure or spending on the team. I don't know, but to me, I look at the City team and I just that squad. Again, there could be injuries that I'm not picking up on straight away, but it just doesn't look to have the same level of depth as it once did.
Yeah, there is a bit of cause for concern there. I'm with you. So we'll see, because they need to do well this season, because then you've got superstars like Bunny Shaw and Lauren Hemp. They need to, who will start to consider their futures if they don't look like there's ambition there. But let's see.